So can a relationship exist with bad sex?
So, I'm going to say, been there and no. Nope.
Well, I agree. It probably can't survive, but there's some different parameters we need to kind of look at here. I mean, are we talking about someone who is ill or has a condition where it's not in their control at all? I mean, do we just leave them? Do we abandon them because they are going through something medical? Or do we try and work
Now,
through that
good and
together?
doggone well, we ain't talking about no, we're not talking about somebody who is on their deathbed,
Not
who has
their
cancer,
deathbed.
or like is taking some type of drug and now they have ED. We can work with you on that. But a person who just has no skills, just none. And at this age, we're all in our 50s, and at this age, you come into the table and you still acting like, a rabbit, like
You're
you're
a
14.
teenager?
I'm just so happy to be in it,
Yeah.
yay.
Well, yeah, I mean,
My thing is this.
that's not going to work.
It's not gonna work.
My thing is this. I need somebody that's, because I've encountered bad sex before. I need somebody that's trying to get better. If you do not have a willingness to try to get better, because just that cardboard sex where they just lay there, that's horrible. And I want somebody that, hey, we need to have good communication. We need to be able to talk about it. And I need that person to be trying to get better.
And then if you talk about it like if you tell the person what it is you want and they still can't do it, don't want to do it, can't do it, or they down there licking like they licking the salt off the top of a cracker and it's just horrible because their skills are horrible. And at this age, you should be able to, everybody should have been in at least one loving relationship, right? So when you're in a loving relationship, then you want to please that person.
And you feel free.
And you feel free and you feel vulnerable. But I feel like if you're dating somebody and their sex skills are just trash, then that tells me, not to say that everybody wants the same things, maybe because what I want doesn't please you and vice versa.
Right.
But for the most part, you got to have some type of skill. And if it's trash, what you thinking? I can see your wheels.
Because,
turning.
I agree. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. It's going to be a very slow death, or it's going to be a real quick death. Like if you are willing to learn, like you said, if you're willing to get better, even if you are willing to talk about it. Some people feel like you can't talk about sex outside the bedroom, which
you
is
should be able to talk about it.
Absolutely.
You should be.
But-
should be able to talk about it. In a loving type of way.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be confrontational.
No.
But it can be like, hey, that thing that you
Yes.
did, I didn't like that. Or that thing that you did, I like that so much, I want you to do more of it.
That person shouldn't be in their feelings about hearing it either. You know
But,
what I'm
but you'd
saying?
be surprised, as a man, you'd be surprised at how many women don't know that they're really bad at sex. They have been gaslighted and, allowed to believe that. And there are a large group of men that just, they love being with the woman, so they're not going to tell her that this is horrible. They're like, I'm just so happy to be here. And women
Why
have.
would you be happy to be there if
I'm,
the sex
I'm,
is trash?
hold, whoa.
I don't think gaslighting
I'm not.
is the
I'm,
right
I'm not.
word.
I'm not their advocate.
No. I'm just saying, like, why would anybody want to be with somebody and the sex is trash?
I think that there exists a space where people are like, man, she's this or she's that or she does this for me or being with her does this for me. And they're willing to accept those things.
Oh, you mean the other benefits of being with that person that are non-sexual?
Correct. Absolutely.
Meaning like convenience, because convenience has value.
She looks good on
Yes,
my.
it does.
It does.
She looks good on my arms.
She's eye candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she makes a lot of money. She makes me feel good in other ways outside the bedroom.
She's
but once-
popular.
Popular.
She's my come up,
God, popular. That is so childish.
clout, whatever,
But-
all those things.
It's funny because listening to us, we are where we are at this stage in our
Yeah.
evolution, our development. But there are still people that hold on to some of that primary stuff that,
That's true.
that they still exist and live in those moments.
They're going to
true.
cheat though. I feel like you're not going to live a whole life of bad sex, even if you have
Oh,
somebody.
so the
with-
person who's receiving the bad sex is going to cheat.
I feel like they aren't going to stay there. They're either going to cheat or their relationship is going to crumble. at some
Sometimes
point.
the person who's giving the bad sex cheats. the nerve.
I mean, you use the word
I'm sorry. There's a clause in there that hey, you have horrible sex, therefore you are forbade from
I
cheating.
know you're not cheating.
I know you did. You hard. No.
The gaslighting term you use, I'm imagining you meant like someone was filling their head with a bunch of nothingness.
Exactly.
Like, oh, this was so good, and it's really trash.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't know if I would use gaslighting for that, but a bunch of lies and
Yeah.
a whole bunch of people like faking orgasms
Yeah.
and all that other ridiculousness. How that person cheats, I'm really confused about because maybe one or two people have lied to you, but all the people in your whole sexual life at 50 plus years old, that's almost incredible. Like,
Or maybe they
Or
haven't.
maybe-
Maybe that person who is the bad sex giver. Maybe they were told like, hey, by other people, like we need to work on this. You need to do this. You need to step up. And maybe it wasn't received well.
oh yeah, maybe that person could be a narcissist and just like, oh, absolutely not.
Yeah,
It's not me.
it's
It's you.
it's you.
I'm moving on. Right.
It's the entire world. It could never be me.
Right.
Never be me.
Right.
But I do know that exists. That's not something that I'm theorizing. That's not something that I'm saying. I know that there are people that, they think that they are bomb and everybody has told them that they're bomb. And I'm like, no, not bomb, but bum. So it exists. It's very, very, very real. And it's frustrating because, again, my original point, I think that we should be able to get to a point where we can talk about it.
Yeah.
We can get better at it. And we can grow not just in the sexual area, but in all areas of our relationship.
Absolutely.
We can, we can say, hey, you need to get better at this, or I
Right.
need you to take the garbage out, or let the toilet seat down. We can get better at a lot of things, but the sexual part of it is important, and I can't exist in that space if it's not there.
Let me ask this question though. Like I do have friends that say that they don't talk during sex. That is completely quiet. Like
What?
yes.
Like a library?
Like a library, like a church.
hell?
And they
I know somebody
don't
like that.
communicate at all. They're doing the act. I'm like, how do you know if it feels good? If you don't tell him this feels good.
Were they
How
just
do you
watching
know?
are they just watching for nonverbal cues or
I mean, they're married. And this
Oh.
is what they've been doing forever since they were
it's
children.
just quiet?
It's quiet. It's
Oh wait,
quiet
do they
time.
have do they
no,
have
their
kids?
No. Yes, but no. Not in the house. So I'm just trying to figure out like,
Historically,
do you just go to sleep after it stinks? Thank you.
I understand actually how it happens because historically, when I first started having sex on, in hallways and on people's couches, that sort of thing, you couldn't
in
make
the
a lot.
closets,
Yeah, you
under the car, in the car, on top of the car.
Exactly, but you couldn't make a lot of noise, so you had to be quiet. But certainly, at our age and our stage of development, how are you doing that? How does that work? How does you're not saying anything?
Well,
I
I just
said nothing.
but some people are just very rigid and prudish and just I don't know. I don't know. I grew up in a very loving and open environment, not like hippie, environment, but I just grew up in a loving environment. So I feel comfortable in being expressive and loving. I'm expressive and loving to my friends. Like when I see you, I hug and kiss you.
Yeah.
And
Me too, though.
and you too, boo. So I think like even in the bedroom, I'm expressive. Some people are just not. Some people are just rigid and just don't feel comfortable in making a sound or communicating what they want, or and sometimes they just feel comfortable only telling you what they want because it's to them it's all about them.
Yeah. And a lot of guys, I would think, because it's a learned behavior, that if they grew up in a household that men make the rules, men are the heads of the household,
Right.
we're the bosses, this is what you do, you just conform, maybe they, think that that's okay
Right.
in the bedroom.
Right.
That
Which
this
is-
is the way it's supposed to be in our everyday life and all facets of it.
I mean, no two women are exactly the same, and I mean, you have to have that philosophy or that working kind of definition to deal with women in general. You have to allow every woman to be herself. So I mean, any learned behavior that you get, you have to know as a man that that could be different with the next woman. And if you, in my opinion, if you're a good man, you have to allow people to exist in the space that they're in. And you have to allow people to talk, because I mean, people are going to tell you what they want you to know.
For sure.
And you know, when we talk about the sounds of love, whether it's the moaning, the groaning, or even the breathing, you know, I've become, I think, a better lover because I listen to those things. And there is
Right.
a rhythm to sex. And a person is going to give you that rhythm if you listen for it. So that's important to me. But I understand how people don't do it. I understand how people don't catch that rhythm. I understand how narcissism works, and a person is like, it's all about me. But if you take the time, if you listen, those things help you, and it helps you to not have bad sex, because bad sex is horrible.
Let me ask this question though. Let's say we don't want to spend 3 months getting to know someone to find out that they're mute in the bedroom.
I'm mute.
You know, right?
Helen Keller.
Is it? So that's funny. Though. But you know, is it okay, really, to be able to ask someone in this getting to know you period? You know, are you a communicator in the bedroom? Are you a communicator sexually? So that you don't have to travel down this road and be like, damn, you know.
Man, that's a good question. I don't know that I would ask somebody.
I mean,
Well,
because it sounds like a freak, right? You're like,
Yeah.
how do you know,
Yeah, I
behave
don't-
in the bedroom.
yeah.
But maybe you should find a way
sliding them a
to-
note.
But I think that you touch
Check
on a
yes or
very
no.
you touch on a very important thing. And as a man, it's, you know, women, there are two types of women as it relates to sex, or two theories on women relating to sex. One is that, you know, hey, let's go ahead and get it over with because I want to know if it's bad, and if it's bad, I can move on. And the other one is like, I want to make you wait into perpetuity. And, you know, after you've cleared these, you know, these 92 steps, then we can go ahead and do it. And that's another issue. That's a whole nother thing, because there are two different ways. And I've had it both ways. I've had it where the person was like, let's check it out. And, you know, I passed, and I actually failed a few times. But, you know, it's worked both ways for me. And I've had the ones that, you know, like, hey, nah, you know, I have the 90-day rule. So
Do they actually say that, or you just kind of figure it out?
you kind of figure it out.
Okay.
But your question asked about communication, and communication is so critical. And you have to be able to say what it is that you want, what it is that you don't like,
Yeah.
what you like. And you have to have somebody, in my opinion, that's receptive to those things.
Yeah, but I want to know, like, before. I would hate to be in the midst of it all and find out that we are just completely incompatible. If I could have asked some preliminary questions to give me
Well,
a
you know
little
what?
bit
I think if you date
of
a
a clue.
person long enough, and then in the process of getting to know them, then you don't have to ask those questions. So, like, you know, I was married for 28 years, and you've been in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So, but like, I'm dating someone new. And in the process of us getting to know each other, I didn't have to ask those questions. For months, I was able to get to know him, and we had, you know, conversations that
Organic
organic conversations
Yes.
that I didn't have to say, pull out a little list. So, do you, and you know.
But as you got to know each other and got more comfortable, if you did have a question about something, you could just ask.
I
it.
could just ask
You
because
know,
he makes
yeah.
me feel that comfortable.
Let me ask you a question related to that. So that's Kim at this stage of her development. So could Kim 20 years ago at her stage of that development have asked that question?
I don't know, because 20 years ago I was married. So, I mean, my whole mindset was different.
No is the answer for me.
Yeah, probably. I don't think so, because
No.
I married the fourth person that I dated. And I don't know. My mindset was totally different.
Yeah. But I would
don't know.
hope that the stigmatism behind, you know, oh, she's so forward, she's asking these questions,
Right.
really dissipate, whatever you want to call it, in chapter 2. Like, I mean, we're
Yeah.
50-something years old.
Exactly. And I just feel like, you know what, I've had people try to silence me on, or too long. And
Yeah.
I feel like now I'm finally with a person who makes me feel like, be yourself, ask me anything. He's open, I'm open.
I'm listening.
Yes, I'm listening.
I care
and
about your
and
answer.
I see you.
Yeah.
And I see you. And I like who you are for who you are.
Yeah.
So, So the expressiveness is there, and it's wonderful.
Makes sex better, I'm sure.
But
Yeah,
But-
but I'm just saying, to your point, 21 years ago, I wasn't that person.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would have. Yeah.
we're talking about the communication piece, and I can honestly tell you, I had somebody that I don't want to use the term ran at me, but they were like, "Hey, I want to get it out of the way. I want to understand." And I did have my own set of preconceived notions about how that made me feel. But in going through that process and appreciating it where she was coming from, because she was like, "Look, I don't want to waste a lot of time. If this is horrible, I can find out now
Oh,
and I
good
can
for
move on."
her. She said that.
She said that.
Okay. Go ahead, Mama.
And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be totally
Give her a
transparent.
couple of brave wings.
It kind of shook me a
I
little
know you
bit
were like,
because that
oh.
was not what I was used
It
to.
should
Right,
be right now.
I know, me too. I was
I'm
like,
a little like, let me drink this tea.
right.
But after I got over those things that made me feel some type of way about it, it really was kind of sexy, and I saw her in a different light.
How old were you? I mean, how long ago?
Oh, this was last month. No, I'm just kidding. It was
Yesterday.
It was before the Obama administration.
Okay.
So
Wow.
But
Okay.
but she just she really presented
I
it
like
like that.
that.
And she stood in it. It wasn't like she said it and it was like, she stood in it and was like, "Look, you are not gonna waste my time."
Because this was just as
Wow.
much her experience as it was yours.
Yes.
And she took
Yes.
Ownership.
She took
Yes.
ownership.
Yes.
She did.
Again, in full transparency, when it happened
It's not just
in
for
that
you,
moment
for
in
me.
time,
Yeah.
I felt some type of way.
Yeah.
As I got to
Were you like Eddie Murphy and Boomerang, like covering yourself, like, oh?
right, I might have held on to the pillow to like lunch.
My pearls. My pearls.
How dare you? How could you?
Right.
But I got to the point where I appreciated it, and I appreciated her.
Okay.
And I mean, she was, she's a very sexy woman to this day, but she took her sex appeal in that moment to an even higher level
I
than
know
I was
that
appreciating.
sounds like it.
Oh my
She
God.
sounded like a very alpha woman in that instance. Very
She-
alpha.
And that's very mature.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have, that
Yeah.
would have been my approach, but I like that for her.
And that was why I asked the question, because we do evolve.
Right.
We start
do.
off at one place.
Absolutely.
And, certain things that, in the beginning I would have been like, oh, no. Now I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she was that person for me.
Did it make you feel like you were under the gun?
Nah. I mean, I liked her, and she is to this day a very
I
beautiful.
mean, somebody is asking you, I want to see how this performance is going to be. That didn't make you feel like you were being,
I was hoping that I hadn't been
examined.
gaslit to that point, and that I could do the things that I felt that I was capable of, and I welcomed the challenge. I was like, man, okay, let's
Okay.
go. But initially, I was like, wow, I can't
were
believe you
shook.
said
I
that
know.
to me.
I know you were
I was
shook.
shook for
So,
a minute.
getting back to what we were talking about. So we do agree that bad sex can kill a relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a bullet to the
That's what I'm saying.
to
That's
the heart.
it.
Yeah.